Hi, I'm Yannick Hanfman.
I'm Ilya Marchenko.
I'm Dennis Kudla.
This is Sebastian Wolfner.
It's Marc-Andrea Whistler.
I am Francisco Cerundolo.
And you're listening to the GTL podcast. Hopefully you enjoy it.
Novak Djokovic comes in, he steals the title, he wins the 23rd Grand Slam. He's the first guy in history to win 23 Grand Slams.
Alcaraz is going to win Roland Garros this year. He wants to be the greatest player. He wants to emulate some of the big goats of the game. I think Iga's going to win Roland Garros and win it back to back. It doesn't happen often.
Iga Swiatek, who's going to be picking up her third, and in the men's, Daniel Medvedev.
Rune winning Roland Garros. Ostapenko is going to get her second Roland Garros title.
Carlos Alcaraz is going to win the men's side. Iga Swiatek is going to win on the women's.
Daniil Medvedev and Jessica Pegula will bring home the trophies this year.
Novak Djokovic clinching his 23rd. And then on the women's side, we're going for Ostapenko.
On the women's side, been on fire, has won titles on every surface. Her name is Elena Rybakina. And on the men's, Carlos Alcaraz will win his first French Open.
Novak Djokovic is the 2023 Roland Garros champion.
Welcome back, tennis fans. Here we are. Another day of Roland Garros has come to a close. Day 9, if I'm right in counting. I'm sort of losing count as we're going through this. And JG not able to join us for this one. So we are joined by your boy, Covey. How are you doing, sir? Have you been enjoying the action today?
Oh, loving it. Yeah, I got to call most of the Zverev match as you took over for me there. But yeah, great day of tennis. Crazy 5-setter from Holger Rune. Some disappointing action from Iga, but not because of her play, because of the circumstances we'll get into. But yeah, I'd say overall, it's been a great day of tennis. A little bit of funny stuff going on as well as a ball girl got hit, causing some controversy. But I'd say that the drama, the action has been fantastic, starting from Monfils and the first couple nights till now. So I've been loving it.
Most definitely it has. And it's really starting to hot up now. Now we are on the brink of the quarterfinals. As we know, they are upon us. And the big question on this podcast is, can anybody stop Iga Swiatek in this Roland Garros tournament? Because for me, she looks unstoppable. And today didn't really help me think any different. I thought coming into this match against Tsurenko, she played her twice before. Once was in Rome just a week or so ago. And the 2 times she's played her, it's been 6-2, 6-love, the exact same scoreline. And it looked like it was going to be the same score again. But unfortunately for Tsurenko, she had to withdraw. It was one of the first times that I've seen them bringing out the blood pressures they were checking on her on court as well. And she didn't look too well. She had her hands on her knees on the court after one of the strong rallies. She was actually rallying quite well with Iga, but she looked like she was physically affected by the rally afterwards. And when she sat down at the changeover, it clearly wasn't something right. So she came out and said this statement saying, if I say that I'm extremely sorry, it doesn't describe how I really feel. For me to play a match against a player like Swiatek is a priority. I'm extremely, extremely sorry not to be able to compete. I like Iga as a tennis player and as a person. I wish her all the best. And Iga did come out and also say, I really hope that she gets well soon. But what do you make of the fact that Iga now, she didn't even have to play a set today. She's already barely had to play sets as coming up to the 4th round. And now she's into the quarterfinals in a breeze. What do you think?
I just, it seems to be a trend, among the big 3 on the women's side. I think recently Rybakina, winning Rome, she had 3 walkovers on the way, 2 retirements and a walkover, I believe. Now Iga's got, very little time on court, gets the retirement here. And I believe Sabalenka also had a couple in previous bigger tournaments. So something is in the air for these big 3 players. But Yeah, honestly, Iga just really does look really looks unstoppable. Tsurenko broke her once. Iga has been broken a couple times in a couple of these matches, even though she's been cleaning up. Got a bunch of bagels, I believe 4 of them. But I just feel like Coco Gauff. Sorry to say, I just don't know if she has beefed up her game enough to take on Iga, especially here in Roland Garros, which feels like her home court more and more. I think Ons Jabeur might be interesting. I do remember Ons Jabeur in the final of the U.S. Open. She didn't start really getting her feet into that match until 1.5 sets into it, when she was already down. But I did remember that she had a surge. And I remember in that moment thinking, this is why I wish it was kind of best of 5 for the women in the semis and the finals, because sometimes these matches, someone comes out so quickly, like someone like Iga, and before you know it, you're down a set and a couple breaks,
Yeah.
But
wow.
Tough seeing anyone other than Saba and maybe Ons Jabeur, but I really don't see Coco having giving her too much trouble.
For me, there's just a golf in class, and this is the problem of me watching tennis at the moment on the women's side. I mean, maybe some other people are struggling with this as well. I've been watching it, and I've just been thinking that they're just Iga, especially, just leaps and bounds above people on the clay courts in Roland Garros. You've just seen Tsurenko come off the back of double breadstick in Andreescu. We've just seen Wang come off the back of 2 straight sets wins against fairly good people as well. And none of them can even come close. It's not even a tennis match. It's like she plays a completely different. It's almost like she's playing the men's tennis against the women. It's almost like that unfair. That's how it feels like at Roland Garros, Iga playing at the moment. And it leads to the question, who can possibly stop her? I mean, Coco Gauff, I'm no disrespects to Coco Gauff, but I think she's a fantastic young talent in the game. But I still don't think she's even close to the level of Iga. Nowhere near. I feel like Iga's level drops, and that's the only time when she loses games, is when she makes errors. It's not when she's being battered off the court by anybody. I think all the games she's dropped in this tournament so far have just been her playing terribly. And that's it. She hasn't. And then as soon as she turns it back on again, she wins about 5 games in a row if she wants to. It's just nuts. I've never seen anything like it. It's an anomaly.
It's that whip that she has. It gives her so much control on both wings, the backhand and the forehand. She has such great RPMs that from anywhere, she just has a better forehand than virtually everyone on tour. So for someone like against Coco, she's just going to pepper that forehand and she can attack it from either side. And I mean, she's just fresh as a daisy. She keeps, like you said, just on and off court within an hour. Walk over today. The only person, like I said, Sabalenka would give her the most trouble, I'd say. But Ons Jabeur, I'm curious to see if she can find that second half of the second set U.S. Open form. I know this is a very nitpicky thing, but maybe that's the type of thing that Ons Jabeur needed to do. To say, okay, I'm in a final against Iga, and I'm actually playing with her, because you never felt that before until the last half of that set. So hopefully, maybe she can give her a little bit of trouble. But I think Sabalenka as well, even though these aren't her ideal conditions, Madrid were the perfect conditions for a Sabalenka win on clay over Iga. So again, Saba would probably give her a little bit of trouble, but I still think Iga would be, in my opinion, would be the favorite in that matchup as well. So hard to see anyone and anyone left in the draw as well that could kind of surprise her as well.
I think Iga would be a massive favorite against her. That's the problem. I feel that both the times that they've played on like I say both times, all 3 times they played on a slower clay surface, Iga's beaten her in straight sets, Sabalenka. And that's the worry for Saba. The only time she's really been better than her is on the fast surfaces, and it's not fast at Roland Garros at all. Moving on to just this stat, which is talking about Iga and saying only Margaret Court now has a higher winning ratio at Roland Garros in the Open era than Iga, and Margaret Court 92 95.2%, and Iga at 92.6%, surpassing Chris Evert at 92.3%. So there you go. That's how dominant she is at Roland Garros. Just incredible statistics.
It's something like 11 out of 12 she wins. I mean, that's just mind-boggling. It's like more than you need to win a tournament in a row. She has streaks of, which
they're gonna have to start handicapping her, I think, in this tournament. Like, so you're playing against Iga. What rank are you? Okay, you get a 4-game head start, and then that way we'll have a more even match. That's the way it seems at the moment. I don't want to be disrespectful. People are going to probably come in and say, "Why are you being so disrespectful?" It's not. I don't think it is. I feel she's just that much better than everybody that we have to make a bit of a joke of it, because look, put this into perspective. This is a good tweet. Iga, this was before her match today. Iga Swiatek, time on court through her first 3-round Roland Garros matches, 3 hours 33. Beatrice Haddad-Maia on court today, 3 hours 51 in one match. I mean,
yeah,
ridiculous. And Haddad-Maia went through against Cerebres Tormo. Watching the two types of match, completely different types of tennis. It's like a different sport that they're playing. This is what I'm talking about. I watched them playing, and it's almost like they're just pushing the ball to each other or just pushing it around the court softly. And the one thing I noticed about Iga today, that I just try and focus on different parts of her game when I watch her now, because it's so easy for her. I just want to see how she's making it so easy. And I noticed, like, her movement is so great on the court. She's so quick to get to, even when somebody tries to challenge her and push her around the court and try and hit hard, she makes sure she gets like around the court so fast that she gets into the position to be able to hit her power shot again. Like, that's it. Her speed, positioning, and then the shot just comes. She's got the technique. We know that. But I feel like her speed, she's definitely got like that on her side. You can see that she's side to side on the court, on the baseline especially. She's rapid. And
I was just saying, if you look at her her thighs, she's got like thick thighs, and you can tell she does a lot of that squat down, push to left, right, those types of plyometric drills and stuff like that, because she's generally pretty slender, you know. And so she definitely has that. And that's, you know, she always gets compared on clay a lot to Rafa, but I would actually say in terms of movement, she reminds me a little bit more of Novak, where there's not a harshness to a ferocity to the racing to the ball. It's more of like this smooth kind of like, feels like you got like a third or fourth leg, you know. It's like, oh, how are you getting there so smoothly to get yourself in a position to not just, you know, barely dink it back, which she can do if she needs to. Those totally outstretched defensive kind of block backs, she can get those too. But she can often get to positions of power where other players would just be getting it back because of her superior movement. So yeah, I think she's. I mean, whatever she does to train, I mean, should be the playbook for most women players, because other than maybe like a not super strong second serve. And to be quite honest, I can't really think of too many women that have like a very, like a well-known to be like a great second serve. I feel like Iga could be one of the pioneers in that sense of being like having a very, very solid, either a kicker, because she has the ability to whip that or in some way add the RPMs and
gets it out wide quite a lot with the kick serve as well. She does.
Yeah. So that's another thing that I feel like we're kind of still missing in the women's game. But other than that, she has literally every box ticked. So
yeah. We know who our next round opponent is. It's a repeat of the final from last year, and it is Coco Gauff, who went through in straight sets against Anna Karolina Schmeidlova, 7-5, 6-2. And I had this match on at the same, I think it was on at the same time as one of the other matches as well. I think it might have been Holger Rune. That went on for quite a long time itself. But yeah, Schmeidlova, she did well to get this far, I think. And I just saw a lot of unforced errors. It just seemed that every time it went to the backhand, it was just an error. Coco Gauff, just solid. She's just a better player. That was ultimately it. She didn't have to do too much, just did enough. And that was it. The scoreline shows it. 7-5, 6-2, comfortable victory for Coco. do I give her much of a chance against Iga? Sadly, I don't.
Yeah, nor do I. And I'm gonna lay off the commentary for this one because I was asleep. I will not lie. However, I did watch a couple of the highlights as they were showing lead up to the Iga match and all that stuff. So it did look like Coco had a pretty decent outing, comfortable second set there. So yeah, good to see her go. I mean, she has a lot of points to defend here, so I'm glad to see she's made it this far.
Yes.
But now it gets really tough. I think all the stars need to align in every possible way for her to win the next one. But got to play it to see what happens.
Definitely do. Yeah, I mean, Coco Gauff, she could have done with not facing Iga quarterfinals with all those points to defend. But it is what it is. Yeah. If she wants to be Roland Garros champion, she's going to have to probably beat Iga. So that's just the way it goes on the women's side. Let's move to the men's side. And, well, the match of the day on the men's side, what an incredible performance from both players, I have to say. Holger Rune coming back in the fifth set from 3-4, love 40 down to a win against Francisco Cerundolo. It was a 5-set match and reaching back-to-back quarterfinals at Roland Garros, and once again versus Casper Ruud. It seems like these two keep meeting each other, the Scandinavians, doesn't it?
And it's always on clay, it seems like. Last year is where the original drama between these two happened, where apparently Rune said Ruud was cheering loudly in the locker room after, and then they had this whole little kind of beef, which was kind of squashed. It was a harmless beef, kind of like the Rune and Stan the Man beef. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting watching because Rune was having some physical difficulties. He actually gave the whole fourth set to Cerundolo because he knew, I think he was down a break early. I think he was down maybe 2-love or 3-1 or something. And he was just physically unable to keep up the pace of these longer rallies. So he just pretty much gave away the fourth set. And then he just conserved that energy and was able to use it in spurts. Now, there were a couple of moments of destiny in this match. Now, if exactly what it says there, 3-4, love 40 in the fifth set. So Rune was serving. He was down 3-4, love 40. So 3 break points for Cerundolo and long rallies on pretty much all of them. Cerundolo hit one into the net, hit one wide, I believe. And in the end, he really, he blew a big chance to serve out the set in the match. But there's no guarantee he would have, because this was one of those matches where you could have seen him, Rune, get broken and then break right back. It just had that feel. However, what really made me feel like it was in the stars was I think it was like 6-6 in the tie break. And again, this is a super tie break in the fifth set, so it's up to 10 points. It was 6-all, I believe. And Cerundolo ripped, I think it was a forehand or a backhand from behind the baseline, but really got all of it. Rune was at the net and it was right at his body. And the ball went directly off the frame, didn't touch the strings, and bounced right back into the court like a perfect drop volley. And that was, and that in that moment, I was just like, it just feels like the stars are aligning for Holger Rune. So anyways, great effort for him. And I'm looking forward to the all Nordic matchup.
Yeah, really, it was a brilliant match. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I thought that Cerundolo would test him, and I thought it would probably go 5 as well. And Holger Rune proving that he can dig deep just to get a victory when he's not really playing his best, or maybe his body is not really feeling its best. I feel like he was playing very well. I don't think he was not playing his best, but I think Cerundolo's level went up today. His stock went up as well. I thought he played incredibly well. Some amazing winners, some tweener lobs, all this type of thing. He had a spell during that fourth set where he was making Rune question his own body, where he just wasn't sure. And I thought, well, maybe the South American's going to just grind him out. And the fifth set is something Rune was not going to want. But like you said, he may have just taken it off a little bit. It looked like he just was giving up by the end. And I already knew right at the end of that set when he was serving, I just thought this is going to be a double fault. I knew it already. I thought he's just going to give him this set. And he did. He double faulted. It's weird how you can just read a situation like that. But it was obvious that he was sort of tanking that fourth set just to get to the fifth so that he could just have a little break and just like recoup the energy. Sort of, he was shouting a lot as well at Moratoglu and at his box, and I think he calmed himself down and got back in the zone, and there you go, top tennis player, and he goes through in 5. He's gonna have his work cut out in the next round, though. He's playing against somebody who he can beat, but this is a different type of match. This isn't a 3-set match. This is a 5-set match, and Casper Ruud is last year's finalist, as we know.
Yeah.
This one, just before we move on, Holger Rune also won, despite losing every single statistic beside aces. 11 fewer points, minus 25 winners. Is that right?
Yeah.
No, minus 25 on winners to unforced errors differential.
Yeah.
So, yeah, channeled his inner Novak here in certain areas. Played the tie breaks better too. Francisco will definitely have a few regrets too. Yeah, I mean, but big moments. That's what defines these type of matches.
Yeah, and it was a shame in a way for Francisco Cerundolo, because this would have been a huge result for him. Like this, you know what I mean? It would increase his personal aura as he continues on his tennis journey. But Holger Rune, and that's one thing that we were talking about while I was calling this, or sorry, we're talking about it while we're calling the other one. Comments we're chatting. And we're talking about Sinner and Rune. And I think the difference right now between Sinner and Rune is when Sinner gets that physicality turned up, he tends to fold. Whereas Rune, even if he's hurt, he becomes this Viking from the Nordic Icelands, and he's like, I'm just going to continue playing and I'm going to will myself, and I really appreciate that about him. And I do think Sinner has that within him. There's not a knock on him whatsoever. But Rune is displaying it and showing it to us, like, a few times now. Big,
it's very much a heart on his sleeve type guy. I feel like Holger Rune, and what you see is what you get. If he's pissed off, you're going to find out. If he's happy, you're going to find out. If he wants to moan at the umpire, you're going to hear it. He doesn't shut up for most of the match. He's always talking to somebody on there, but I like it. I think he's a great character for the game, and I like people who show a lot of desire on the court, and we can't just have Carlos Alcaraz the only one tearing around the court and really showing he's given his all, because I feel that Holger Rune is doing exactly the same, but maybe not as emphatic a fashion.
Yeah, not tennis wise necessarily, but he certainly is a breath of fresh air in the sense that he truly is who his personality shows us. And I love that. It's an authenticity that I enjoy. It's almost like he's like Nick Kyrgios without the the open vulgarity. You know what I mean? Where he's being himself. Sometimes he's a little sandpapery, a little gritty, a little too in your face, but he's got the game to back it up. So great personality. Super excited for him, and very gutsy victory for sure.
And a very tough quarterfinal coming up against Casper Ruud, who went through against Jarry, a very tough match as well. Jarry been having an incredible tournament and actually beat Casper Ruud fairly recently as well. So this just goes to show how clutch Casper Ruud is when it comes to Grand Slam tennis, and especially at Roland Garros as well. I feel that he levels up when he comes to the Grand Slams these days, Casper Ruud, and that was why I was sort of alluding to it on some of the podcasts we were doing coming up, and I was saying, no one's talking about him. He was last year's finalist. Why? Do that at your own peril, because he will, if he gets a good draw, he will get through that draw with ease. And he's been looking great, to be honest. He's barely dropped a set, has he, the whole tournament? I don't know how many sets has Casper Ruud? He's dropped 2 sets. Yeah, so he's been through, dropped one against Zeppieri and one against Zhang. But other than that, I think he just turns it on at the right time, like he did today. He did that against Jarry, turned it on just at the end of each set, and then that was enough. He broke back. He was down a break, I think, in a couple of the sets, broke back, then just turned it on at the end. So well played to him.
Yeah, and I think that there's a similarity as well with Khachanov and Ruud in that they're both becoming so solid through the experience of continuing to make these deep runs into these big tournaments. And it's really good to see. You really hope at one day Ruud won't be stuck in an era where he gets continually blocked from big titles, because it does sort of feel like that. If you're looking at it right now, it kind of seems like Alcaraz, Rune, Sinner are like the main young up and comers. And Ruud is kind of in that in-between category, but he keeps making these results. And the more chances you give yourself later in these tournaments, at some point, you're going to have some good luck. So I think it's very astute of you to not just throw him out of the way because he had a slow start to the year. He is, again, he's made it to he's close to making it to another, he's a couple matches away from being in 3 of the last 4 finals of a major. So that's definitely something to consider and realize when talking about him.
Exactly. And like it says here, 2 Scandinavians, 2 different personalities, only one winner. Who takes it? And I'm intrigued by this one, especially the facts that Holger Rune's, I think he would have been the bookie's favourite coming into this matchup, but that was only because he hadn't played 5 sets. Now he's played 5 sets against Cerundolo. The bookies are now backing Casper Ruud as the slight favourite, and that's interesting because Casper Ruud went through in straight sets. But for me, it's still a 50-50 match. I don't think the 5 sets is going to affect Holger Rune. I feel that he has a slight stronger mentality than Casper Ruud now than he did last year when he lost to him. So that's the only thing that I'd say he has that's greater, but never rule out Casper Ruud, because if he puts it all together, he could beat him in straight sets.
Yeah. I think that walkover that Rune had against Monfils is going to come into play and really help him out, because say if he had played that match and went 4 or 5, whatever, in a night session, and then we saw him struggle again today, then it would really be like, okay, this guy's had long time on the court, stuff like that. But that really could be a factor in the end, that Monfils walkover for him. But in the end, I could see this one going 5, and I could see it being a coin toss. I would say in my mind, it's a 51-49 Rune probability. That's just how my gut's saying.
I mean, I started the tournament. I started the tournament with, I think I had Holger Rune in my final of the tournament. And as I'm watching it go on, like now I'm looking at it, I'm feeling like I'm favouring Casper Ruud in this matchup now. I don't know why. I just from what I've seen, just the way he played today looked very, very good. It was just it was just the way he did it. It wasn't so much like, oh yeah, just because he's taken out someone like Jarry who's been in like amazing form. It was just, it looked like a sort of like a workman-like performance, like a great player does.
Literally going to say those exact words, workman-like performance. We're right at the end of the set where you need to come through. Like you said, with the experience of having, been the finalist before, he knows how to handle those types of situations. Does he win them always against the top players? Maybe not, but he definitely knows how to handle them against anyone at his level or anything lower. So, I agree with you. He's we can't overlook him for sure.
And this is the one thing I wanted to go on a little bit of a segue onto the next person, which looking at workman-like performances. Basically, we're in the 4th round on the men's side, and we've just finished it. And we look at the people who have gone through in straight sets. Djokovic in a 4th round, Alcaraz in straight sets in the 4th round, Tsitsipas straight sets 4th round, Casper Ruud straight sets 4th round, and now Stefanos Tsitsipas. Sasha Zverev. Sorry, I've just said Tsitsipas, haven't I? And now I'm just reading his name again. But now Sasha Zverev has gone through in straight sets in the 4th round as well. And these are all the big players. Holger Rune threw in 5. This is what I mean, like with a slight difference, although he did have, like you said, the withdrawal and the walkover. But it's the level of the match, the 4th round, and going through that easily that makes you think, wow, these players have sort of stepped up like another level to just take out somebody else who's really played incredibly to get to the 4th round. It's not easy to get to the 4th round. So
yeah, it's like basically it's like this feeling that all those guys who went straight sets victories in the 4th round, it's that feeling of they're rounding into form. And then with the Rune, you're like, okay, this kind of feels like the opposite, because this guy's been cruising until now. But we also have to admit, I would say, that Cerundolo is one of the better opponents that lost. Maybe
Yeah.
not the best of the losers in the round of 16, but round of 16. But
One of
he's
the best,
definitely
for sure.
been one of the hotter ones. Actually, I was thinking if he won, I was going to message JG and say, hey, you're welcome for picking him as your out dark horse there.
That's it.
But I got to say, 3 to 4 days ago, if you'd asked me on the bottom half of the draw, what's going to happen, I would have said Rune. Boom, easy answer. Now, 3-4 days later, I'm saying maybe Rune, maybe Ruud, and maybe Zverev. Do not count this guy out. He is playing some really, really good tennis. Called the Tiafoe match. He was down a set and a break. Also a break in, I believe, the third and the fourth, and just kept on coming back. Straight sets victory today. Little bit of a blip in the middle set where he was down 2-4. And he has actually started well in that set. But anyways, he had a big lull there for about 15 to 20 minutes, but he caught himself and took the second set. But Sasha Zverev has shown me like he's on his way to how well he was playing against Nadal. And I haven't felt that at all until now since his return. So it's been basically a full year of him like trying to find his way back to that ascension that he was sort of on. So
I thought that it was a very up and down performance. There were quite a few double faults in there as well. It's definitely not the finished product, Alex Zverev, that we saw against Nadal last year, but you can see glimpses of it, and he's still got the shot making ability, but he's got the ability to not be playing great and still clean Dimitrov up in straight sets. And that's the scary thing, because if he does start putting it together, that scoreline isn't 6-1, 6-4, 6-3. It'll be 6-1, 6-1, 6-2 or something horrific like that for Dimitrov. But it was a little, like you said, a little blip in that middle set. And he had a little blip in the last set as well. He got broken back. But then as soon as he got broken back, he just broke him straight back again. Dimitrov was down love 40 before you knew it. So, but we're talking about Zverev and saying that he's been through in straight sets. He'll be playing in the next round another guy who has been through every single round in straight sets. And let me just bring up the results here. Here we go. And it is Thomas Martin Etcheverry. And impressive result. I heard that there was a medical timeout for Nishioka in this one, so he may not have been fully fit, but impressive result. I mean, in a fourth round to breadstick and bagel somebody and go through in straight sets again. He hasn't dropped a set the entire tournament. He has had a good draw, not going to lie. I think he's had Drapo dropped out of his match. He had Alex de Minaur, didn't he, in his next match, which I'm not being funny. Alex de Minaur, not the best on the clay. And then Borna Coric, which was quite a tough match, but he got through him in straight sets as well. So he's done it. He beat you, he's put in front of you. And you say what you were saying to me before we came on about Sasha Zverev now playing Etcheverry.
Yeah. This is so as I was saying, I feel like we're starting to. He's not nearly back to where he was last year against Nadal. We're talking about Zverev here. But the glimpses of, oh my gosh, he's showing that sort of resolve and that big game that we were accustomed to. Now, whether he's back or not, this Etcheverry match is actually a perfect kind of barometer for us as analysts and fans to see, because lately these are the type of players that Zverev has been losing to in the quarterfinals. He's been making to the quarterfinals of most of the tournaments that he's been doing, so he's making a certain level of consistency, but he hasn't been able to go past that. Same's been the case for Indian Wells, Monte Carlo, Barcelona, Rome. It was all quarterfinals and not further. So now we're going to see him in the exact same situation that he's been in the last half year. And now we're going to say, okay, was this the Zverev that we saw last year coming back, or is it the one of late who might have a tough time and maybe even lose to Etcheverry? So I'm really, really curious. I think this is the absolute perfect barometer matchup, because it's not against someone like a Djokovic where you're like, well, let's be honest, we would probably choose him to lose. It's someone who we probably think he should win based on his form of late. However, let's not forget Etcheverry. I watched him play a phenomenal. It was a straight sets finals lost in Houston to Tiafoe. but I've been watching him on and off throughout the last couple months, and he's got a big game. He's a really good player. He's tall, decent serve. So even though we've been singing the praises I have, especially in the last few minutes about Zverev, I do think that it's not a foregone conclusion, and we're in for some pretty good action here.
Definitely. I mean, he's only 23 years old. He's now into a quarterfinal of a slam for the first time. He went out in the first round, I believe, last year to Kecmanovic. So you just see how far his game has come on since then. Obviously, Kecmanovic not having a greater season this year as he did probably last year. But and he is repping, obviously, Argentina. We lost Cerundolo, and we've lost Schwartzman. We now... Guido Pella as well. We now have
Olivieri.
Cashin. There was a few in there, but ultimately we have Echeverri. Is he the new best thing coming out of Argentina? And like you said, big guy, 6'5", big serve, and it gets him out of trouble a lot, that serve. And that's the one thing, that he has a really good game, good powerful game, and a perfect barometer for finding out where Zverev's at, because he can go toe-to-toe with the serve probably with him, and then it's just going to be about who serves better. And the rallying, Zverev won't be able to just give him those love 40 games on serve, because I don't think you'll be getting as many free games off him as you did off Dimitrov, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's going to be it'll be interesting, because Echeverri does have some skills that could hurt Zverev. So yeah, I'm really excited. I think even though maybe on paper it's not the most exciting of all of them, but I think it really will be. It'll be up there in terms of level and showing us the mettle of these guys.
Yeah, but it's mad to think that obviously Sasha Zverev could be in another semi-final in one match time. Yeah, again, nobody. Well, say nobody. He was my surprise package of the tournament, my first one. So I thought you just can't not mention his name, can you? He was in the semi-final last year. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. I want to know who you're picking for all of these quarterfinals that are coming up. Who do you think is going to stop Iga? Do you think Coco Gauff has any chance against Iga? And if not, what scoreline do you think it'll be? And yeah, let us know on Holger Rune, Casper Ruud. Who have you got in that matchup as well? Make sure you've hit a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and make sure to join us for all of the quarterfinals that'll be coming up over the next couple of days.
Peace.
Right. Over and out.
Take care, guys.